Something's wrong in the state of Cupertino. And that's how John Gruber opened his piece about the delay of Siri's AI upgrade. And he's one of the most respected Apple bloggers out there. He says Apple told a story about Siri's new intelligence, and that story is just simply not true. According to him, the company is losing credibility with its customer base, and some are even suing Apple for false advertisement. So what's really happening with Apple Intelligence and what's going on with their rollout? In this video, we're going to be looking at the reality of Apple's AI rollout and to even see if our devices are ready for this Apple Intelligence update. And before we dive in, make sure you like and subscribe so that you're more involved in these case studies and for more Pro Mac tips. First off, let's start with the hard truth. Apple is late to the AI game, like 2 years late. And with how fast this AI race is going, that's like being 100 years late. Companies like Google and Meta are racing to release a lot of AI features, and Apple is kind of sort of doing the opposite because supposedly Apple Intelligence won't be ready to fully roll out until 2026. That's a long wait in a market where speed matters. Instead of relying on cloud servers and computing like the other competitors, Apple is going the opposite direction and running it locally on our devices like our iPhone and our Macs. A big pro about that is that there's a lot more privacy because all of that data is only stored on your device. But the con of it is that it relies heavily on hardware, which is why we need to make sure that our devices are up to spec. And when this software is fully finished, it's probably going to demand a lot from our devices, and there's already reviews of that being the case. So first things first, let's make sure that our Mac even qualifies for Apple Intelligence. There's a list on Apple that clearly states which devices are compatible for this update. Basically, the general specs that we need from our Mac is that it needs to be on Apple Silicon, so it needs to be an M1 chip or newer. It needs to be on macOS Sequoia, and it needs 7 gigabytes or more of storage. And in terms of RAM, your Mac should be higher than 8 gigabytes to run it smoothly, because if you're just at 8, it'll probably bog it down because Apple Intelligence and AI features are pretty computationally heavy. So I'd recommend 16 gigabytes or more. The second thing that we should do to prepare our Macs is to run a system cleanup. Some ways to do that is to manually delete cache files, remove unused apps, and to even go through hidden files, but nobody's got time for that. So that's why I use this program called Clean My Mac. And in this program, I use the cleanup feature because with one click, it cleans up app leftovers, junk files, and background clutter. It even shows what's taking up system resources, which is super helpful for optimizing my Mac. There's also very helpful monitoring tools in the quick menu of this app to show me the status of my computer at all times. And I highly recommend incorporating Clean My Mac into your workflow when you are starting to prepare your Mac for Apple Intelligence. So if you want, there's a download link in the description box below to start a 7-day free trial, and I highly recommend it. So after those first 2 steps, let's move on to number 3, which is to clean up temporary cache files. So let's go to Finder, click Go, then go to Folder in the top menu, type in this command right here, and press enter. Inside, you'll see folders for different apps, and this is where user cache and app cache files live. You can go through them and delete the contents, but be careful not to touch anything you're unsure about. And if you don't want to dig around manually, tools like Clean My Mac can clean out all of those temporary files in a couple of clicks, safely, and without you having to guess what's safe to delete. The fourth thing we're going to talk about is pretty easy, and that's just to watch your memory usage. Now, going back to that thing I said about having 16 gigabytes or more of RAM, just because you have more RAM doesn't mean that you can just open up every single app and use it all simultaneously. Even if you have the most RAM on your Mac, you can still slow down your computer's performance if you just have too many things open. So a simple thing to live by is to just have the least amount of apps open, especially when you don't need them all open. Like Google tabs, you don't need 60 of them open, and you don't need all of your Adobe products open at the same time either. So basically, keep your memory usage at a low if you can so that your computer can run smoothly. And the fifth step is to optimize your startup and your background apps. Typically, AI models need a lot of time to load during startup, so you want to not have too many things starting up at the same time when you turn on your Mac. So we're going to look through our login items, which is this list of apps that automatically boot up when you turn on your Mac. And this minimizes that memory usage, just like I talked about in step 4, so that Apple Intelligence can boot up normally. So go to System Settings, then Login Items, and turn off anything that you don't need when you start up your Mac. And after following all those steps, Apple Intelligence can run very smoothly and powerfully on your device, and it could beat most of the AI models out there like ChatGPT and the other competitors as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about what you think about Apple Intelligence and how it runs on your Mac, and I will see you in that next video.